little bit on the Princess Foundation. It helps people. Our mission is to help people build and improve communities that are beautiful, long-lasting, and healthy for people in the environment. We're a not-for-profit charitable organization based in London, one of the 19 charities of which the Prince of Wales is president. We work on kind of a three-part approach. Producing exemplar projects, and then a research component and an education component. I'm going to talk about the exemplar projects, which we are involved with in both in the UK and in several countries around the world. Projects that are either in inception or in the process of delivery through the kind of master planning and delivery phase. We work on everything from sustainable urban development, regeneration of existing communities, brownfield regeneration, using all of the tools of planning and design and so forth that are familiar, no doubt, to you. I think what's important, though, is to make the point that when we're working to try to create successful communities, yes, we want to focus on low-carbon housing and mixed use and all of the things that make a density work. But what we found is that you can't just make those work by addressing those things alone. You really have to look at the economy. You have to look at the surrounding community and environment and transport, financial issues. We've evolved that into a model that we call community capital, where we say you really have to look simultaneously at building the natural capital of a place, the built capital, the financial capital, and the social capital. And that's a longer conversation in the name of time that I won't get into, because I think the best way to talk about this is a case study of one of our projects that shows how we are struggling to make all of these things work and come together around some actual results. What you see here is the region near Swansea in Wales, and here we've been carrying out a fundamental regional rethink of this region with several partners. And basically the outcome is a shift from a fossil fuel-based economy. This was where BP had a refinery and docks and so forth, to a knowledge-based and ecologically grounded economy. So on this first slide, you see a large red area in the upper left-hand corner. That's one site that I'm going to talk very quickly about, and then you see right below it on the waterfront a smaller area. The large red area is the oldest oil refinery site. Next slide, please. In the UK, it's BP, and here we've been working with partners to design a new urban village on this brownfield site, and it's a development that's part of the overall regeneration of the Swansea, Neath, Port Talbot area in southwest Wales, expected to be completed around 2006. Just a couple of quick statistics. Next slide, please. The size of the development that we've planned on this site is, we'll have 15,000 people. It's on 1,300 acres, 4,000 new homes of mixed price and tenure, affordable housing included, 4 new schools, 3,000 new jobs, 65,000 square feet of commercial space. And it's all, again, to emphasize, this is all being done through a public-private partnership. I won't go into the details of the remediation that's been happening here, so essentially at the end of the process dealing with this property, there will be a series of interconnected walkable neighborhoods with low car dependency, low energy houses, employment, leisure, community, and educational facilities, and open space, and an integrated land use pattern. But what is perhaps, next slide, that's right. So just one example, there are already 100 houses that have been built. All the planning permissions have been granted. The Prince's Foundation is going to remain very much involved in a leveraged position in designing the form-based codes, but also codes that will specify how materials and what kinds of materials are used. We're trying to create, as much as possible, some green supply chains that look to using locally accessed materials. 80% of all energy is lost in today's global supply chains. So while it's a struggle to make it all work locally, that's sort of a framing goal. there are a number of things we're doing with respect to that. What you see here is just a small hamlet of 8 properties that's to be built using clay block. It's a German biobrick to demonstrate simple, robust architectural design, and then train a lot of local builders and craftspeople in how to use that particular technology, and in that process begin to build some local, both local skills but also local economic development. There's also going to be another demonstration community working with the Z Factory to design 8 houses with 0 utility costs, and experimenting with a whole range of local materials that are mine-grown or live in that area. The next slide is Swansea University, which is on that other little red site that I showed you. This is an extension. This is a new campus for Swansea University. Again, working with a number of partners. We're a small organization, but in a very leveraged position, working with Dimitri Porphyrios Associates, campus planners from the US, BP again, this was their dock site, St. Maudwin's developers, and the Neathport Talbot Local Authority to design this new campus, which is intended as a model of sustainability not only for the site itself, but the surrounding area, and to help link it back into the community in nearby Swansea to combine. It's a mixed-use plan, but it's also going to be the kind of nexus of reinventing the local economy into a knowledge-based economy. Rolls-Royce has a large business incubator on the site, we'll be building, and there's also a number of very unusual ecological assets to the whole region, which this campus is going to be studying and trying to understand how those, both from a tourism and many other points of view, can play into the local economy. It's a lot of information in a way that I just don't have time to give you, but I think the point that I want to reflect on is that we're taking all of the pieces that have been discussed today, looking at larger issues of planning, looking at the region, looking at developing local economic development and entrepreneurial opportunities, all of which are designed to try to make this, obviously it's part of the global economy, but make this as much as possible something which is keeping the money local, and also building on what is there, the local assets, in a way that will fit into the global economy, but be locally unique. Perhaps you might be asking, where does all of this fit into the notion of low carbon and all of that? Every single thing that is being done here, at least physically, is being done trying to push the state of the art in terms of carbon efficiency and green building. But also, I would argue that if you go back to the community capital model and you dig in depth, which we can do in the discussion, into what that means, just about everything that any one of those 4 quadrants addresses, financial, built, social, or natural, if you succeed in making those work, you're succeeding in making all of the other things work, and you're getting a virtuous circle that ultimately, you will have a successful community, successful economy. Then you're really doing something that will have lasting value, long-term value, and will be sustainable in a way that will contribute over time to the goal.
And I think the point you're making here is that cities are fundamentally economic engines. I mean,
right.
Intellectual. I mean, they come together to do things, and they don't come together just to release CO2 or just to move people around. I mean, they come together to get stuff done, and you've got to create a city that works in both senses.
If you want it all.
In both senses. It's got to work environment, and it's also got to be a city that works in creating value. Now, let me move
just a quick side point to make, though. Don't miss the fact that this is probably the first brownfield has been remediated to a mixed-use community that I know.
That's kind of interesting. That's interesting. I want to move